Maryland basketball makes a statement win over Illinois.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everyone? It's Tre Moore, host of Locked On Terps for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you for making us part of your day. And I'm also doing work at Inside Black and Gold. So make sure you guys head over to insideblackandgold.net for all your latest Terps news. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. What a statement win that the Terps just put on the Fighting Illini in the Big Ten tournament. And I think the Terps made a huge statement a couple minutes ago against Illinois. I am recording this right after the game. I wanted to get this out to you guys as soon as possible. So you guys will see this right after the game. And hopefully you guys see this before our matchup tomorrow. But I want to talk about Maryland basketball. Wow. That was another great win for Maryland basketball. And I think we've just hit a stride this season that a lot of teams just can't compete with. We're winning a lot of games. We're beating a lot of really good teams. And Illinois is included in a really good team. I know they've been really inconsistent this year, but when you look at this Illinois team, I said this could be a scary game because Illinois has hit a new stride as a team after getting blown out by Duke 110-67. Illinois had won every other game. They had beaten Iowa by 20. They had beaten Michigan by 20. They had beaten Purdue by 8. They had beaten Iowa last night by 12 points. And now they get stunned by the Maryland Terrapins as Maryland beats Illinois 88-65 in the first round of the Big Ten tournament. I think there are so many different things I want to say about this game. There's so many different things that Maryland basketball is doing right now. I thought it was big to see us win again at a neutral site away from the normal home that Maryland has been really good at. Obviously, we haven't lost very many games this year at home. So it was good to see that Maryland can win on a neutral site because I think that's important when we talk about March Madness for the Terps and we talk about winning late and winning potentially a Big Ten tournament, making a run in March. It's really important for the Terps to be able to win on a neutral site, kind of like a road game. Obviously, neutral site's kind of in between because neither team technically is home. And I think the Terps stepped up to that challenge. And we haven't seen playoff basketball from this team. We know this team's really talented in terms of how they played throughout the regular season. We know their record. We know that we are one of the 2 seed in the Big Ten and that we played at a really high level. But you don't know what a team is going to look like in a March type of atmosphere until they're actually going to play in it. And I think the Terps proved to everybody in the country and proved to me, proved to themselves that they're here and they're here to stay in terms of March basketball. And I really think, I don't know if there's a team playing better than the Maryland Terrapins right now. I thought overall, one thing was really a really big takeaway for me was defensively, I thought the Terps had a very high level game against Illinois. I'd be lying if I said I thought Illinois played great. I think that a lot of it is because of Maryland's defense. I don't think all of it. So I do want to get out there and say that. I thought Illinois had an type of performance when you lose by 23. That's usually what happens, but you have to give credit, obviously, to the Maryland Terrapins. I thought Maryland defensively had one of their best games of the season against Illinois, only allowing them to score 65 points, beating them in the first half 31-57. That's impressive for the Terps. When you score 57 points in the first half and only allow the other team to score 31, that's really big time because usually I say when one team's scoring a lot of points, even if they're playing good defense, just because of the pace of play and the amount of points that are being scored, the other team actually by the end of the game looks like they did something offensively. But the Terps really put that down for Illinois, only allowing them to score 65 points overall. I thought was definitely really big. And then Illinois had 17 turnovers, and obviously some of those turnovers were them not playing their best basketball. Some of those turnovers were definitely on them. I'm not going to lie to you guys, but a lot of those turnovers were forced by Maryland basketball playing high-level defense. And so 17 turnovers compared to Maryland only having 3 turnovers. So I want to focus on Illinois having 17. I just thought the defense was there all game, and I've said it this year. When you're playing on the road, when you're playing in a neutral site, when you're playing in an atmosphere like this, it's the Big Ten tournament. There's a lot on the line. When you're playing March basketball, the one thing that no matter what, that you can bring every single night is the defense. Whether the shots falling, whether the offense is able to get going, whether you're shooting well from the 3-point line, whether you're able to score on the offense side of the ball, that one side of the ball, and about 50% of the game, I would say, both sides, you're usually on defense for about 50% of the game. You would say that you can control a 50% of part of your game. You can control your defense. The defense is all about effort. It's all about knowing your scout. It's knowing who does what well. And I thought Maryland did a really good job of that. And I thought they had a really good game plan against Illinois. And I thought they put it together. And I thought that a lot of people did things the right way. I thought we guarded guys the right way. And I thought we did a really good job, obviously, forcing Illinois to 17 turnovers, but they only shot 22% from the 3-point arc. I thought Maryland did a really good job of forcing Illinois to hit tough shots. I thought it was a really good defensive game from a lot of our guards. Like, for example, Boswell, who's been pretty good for Illinois as of late while they've been winning games, went 0-7 from the 3-point line. Rodney Rice was guarding him a lot of the games. Celton Miguel obviously was on him sometimes. Deshaun Harris-Smith. I thought they did all really good job defensively, forcing their Kylan Boswell has been good over the stretch for Illinois basketball. Really have trouble, and overall their team having trouble shooting from the 3-point line, but also from the field. Only 36% from Illinois from the field. So I thought that was really impressive from the Terps. And then when you switch over to Maryland, I mean, the next segment I'll really dive into the individual performances of every player. But one thing I thought, the fact that Maryland only had 3 turnovers, that is pretty crazy. That's something you're not really going to rely on, but you can rely on having limited turnovers. 3 is probably not going to happen again for the rest of the season. But the fact that Maryland only had 3 turnovers, I think, speaks volumes to us being locked in and ready to go. And now I know that this team, nothing's going to be too big. Obviously, there's going to be bigger stages. The quarterfinal of the Big Ten tournament isn't the biggest stage we'll face. Obviously, now we're on to the semifinals, a little bit of a bigger stage. But I think what I've seen, the sample size of being in a game where it's win or go home, technically, obviously, you still have March Madness to play, but in terms of the Big Ten tournaments, win or go home, I saw a Maryland team live up and go past what I expected from them. Usually there's jitters. Like I thought Illinois had 17 turnovers, but Maryland only had 3. And to win the turnover margin by 14, that's pretty impressive from the Terps. You're not going to get that every day. That's not going to happen every time. So I thought that was really good from the Terps, and they also had 12 steals themselves. So that's really big time. That's a lot of the forced turnovers, while Illinois only had 3. So while people are quick to say Illinois didn't play well, Illinois turned over the ball a lot on themselves, Maryland had 12 steals. So you got to give credit to the Terps for forcing a lot of turnovers. And then also Maryland had 19 assists. A lot of unselfish ball I saw out there. Obviously, guys got a lot of players played at a really high level offensively, which we'll talk about more in the next segment, who played well offensively. But assisted points is important. And when you're a team like Maryland that has 5 individuals, the Crab 5, obviously is living up to that nickname. When you have 5 guys that are really talented, that are willing to swing the ball, that are willing to score assisted baskets, that is really big for Maryland basketball, and that makes it that much harder for an already really talented group that everyone can score 101 in Maryland's starting 5. Like Miguel can, We know Queen can down low. I thought he played really well. Julian Reese can down low. Rodney Rice, probably our best pure scorer right now. Gillespie, we know, can create his own shot, but we're seeing Maryland get 19 assists in the game. And it just shows that they're willing to move the ball, run the sets right. And I also got to talk about Kevin Willard. What a game plan Kevin Willard had against this Illinois team. I thought Maryland scouted Illinois well. I thought they had a really good game plan. I really liked how Kevin Willard coached this game, and I thought a lot of credit has to go to him. Your team hasn't played in a while. Illinois played last night, and yes, that might mean they're more tired, but it also means they could come out a little bit sharper, but that's not what happened. And the importance of the double bye, I think, clearly showed for Maryland not having to play yesterday, and Illinois had to put up a lot of points last night to beat Iowa. That's why I said the regular season's important to finish as high as you can, because you don't want to have to play an extra game that you don't need to play. And I thought Illinois looked a little fatigued out there. So that goes back to my previous point. But I also just thought Kevin Willard had a really good, really well-coached game. I thought he did a lot of things at a high level. But I want to dive into the individual performances. Who played well? Who continues to play well? We'll talk about that next. We're about the stats because numbers don't lie. And when it comes to the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X, the numbers are on an MVP level. With the ability to grow up to 8,500 pounds, it can quite literally carry the whole team plus the gear whenever you need to go. It's powered by a twin-turbo V6 engine, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. And with the room up to 8 people, the Armada Pro is built for big crews, big adventures, and even bigger memories. Whether you're exploring off-road trails or rolling up in the arena, the Armada Pro 4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you go. Take your ventures to new heights in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Learn more at nissanusa.com. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the next. I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. With tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when you win, you get to pay instantly. No waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops actions all tournament long. Let's get into the individual performances. I thought this was another Maryland masterclass, especially from the Crab Five, but I also thought the bench played well. I thought the most impressive player on the court was Rodney Rice. And that's a theme this year. I don't know if he got the credit he deserved, and he said it about being not even getting honorable mention All Big Ten. He talked about it didn't bother him, but he said he's going in a little bit with some extra motivation, and I think that showed for Rodney Rice. He easily could have broken the single game record for three-pointers in the Big Ten tournament. I think he was one short of tying it. I'm pretty sure the broadcast said. Someone can fact check me on that. I think somebody broke it actually last night, an Iowa player. And so I think he's one shy of tying it, needed two to beat it. But at the end of the day, Rodney Rice went 7-9 from the 3-point arc, 26 points, had 2 4-point plays. This kid scoring the basketball, and I tried to tell people before the season, is just so natural for him. The way he shoots the ball, the way he can be a 3-level scorer, it's special for Rodney Rice. And the fact that we still get him for a couple more years is definitely pretty big for the Terps. He's the best pure scorer on our team, and he needs to continue to be that as we go into March. But when he shoots the ball like he did against Illinois, 7 of 9 from the 3-point line, Maryland's going to be a really tough out in the tournament. 26 for Rodney Rice, 2 assists as well, 0 turnovers, 8 of 12 from the field. just a special game for Rodney Rice. I think he had like 18 at the half. And if he plays the last, what was it? Maryland backups played, or not fully backups, but Maryland starters rested the last like 6 minutes or so. So if he plays the last six, it could have easily been a 30-point night for Rodney Rice, and he has this in his bag. He's not streaky. He's been a consistent good shooter most of the year, but he does have a little bit of that streakiness in him where if he heats up, it's really special. In other games, he can be a little bit colder, but overall, he's the best pure scorer on our team. He's our best shooter, and he looked really good. Obviously, I thought he was the MVP of that game offensively. And then also Derek Queen, 19 points, 10 boards, another double-double, 4 offensive rebounds, 2 steals, a block, an assist. Really big time from Derek Queen. 7-11 from the field, so he did it really efficiently. 5-7 from the free throw line. The Big Ten Freshman of the Year showed why he's the Big Ten Freshman of the Year on a big stage against Illinois. Was efficient. Did it against a team that has been pretty good all year. And I think Derek Queen has just shown he's a special type of talent. They talked about it on the broadcast. Some of his footwork, some of the stuff he does down low is really big. And then something I want to highlight for Derek Queen, 0 turnovers, I thought was really important because I said going into the March, going into the Big Ten tournament, one of the things Maryland's going to have to do to win, I specifically targeted Derek Queen, was to limit the turnovers, because Derek Queen has had games this year where he has like 5 turnovers, 3 turnovers. And I've said that's way too much for a big man for us to be having. I thought he had a really good game for the Terps. I thought Gillespie, when you look at just his points, 12 points isn't anything crazy, but 2 of 5 from the 3-point line, we'll take that every single day. But 9 assists from Gillespie. He's a big reason why I say we're sharing the ball at a really high level. You never really realize it while the games are actually going on, or maybe I don't realize how good of a passer he is until I turn back on the some of the highlights and see, dang, Gillespie's really dishing out of a lot of assists. It's a lot of simple assists. It's not a lot of crazy passes, but that gets the job done. So I thought Gillespie played really well. I thought Julian Reese just had a normal kind of Julian Reese night. 10 points, 5 rebounds. Just nothing too crazy, but exactly what we needed. 4 or 5 from the free throw line. That's 80%. So he's been really efficient from the free throw line. I thought he did a lot of solid stuff. I thought Celton Miguel didn't shoot the ball well from the 3-point line, 2 and 9 from the field, but one guy's bound to not be the best. 0-4 from the 3-point line, 6 points. I did say going into the tournament, I did say Celton Miguel's the key. I went back like pretty much every game this season and said, when he scores double digits, we win. When he doesn't, we usually lose, and we don't have too many losses, but it's kind of accurate. And this was a game where we didn't need Celton Miguel to score double digits. So kind of funny that I said that and it ended up not exactly happening. But I think maybe the biggest storyline, because we already knew that. We knew the Crab Five, as you guys call it, is going to be good. A lot of people's question about Maryland is the bench. We've seen a million games, I feel like, this year where, Ronnie Rice goes for 26, Gillespie has 9 assists, Queen has 19, Reese has 10. Like, we've seen that. What we haven't seen is consistent play off the bench, and Jordan Geronimo gave it to us. And he's kind of proven to be our best guy off the bench over the last couple of games. 11 points. I think people forget he was a starter for us last year and obviously got booted to the bench now because of Queen. But the fact that he had 11 points, 5 rebounds, 3 offensive rebounds, he was just energy. And you guys won't believe how many steals he had. I didn't realize until I'm just looking at the stat book, but he had 5 steals. So Jordan Geronimo was definitely just huge energy bug off the bench, but it was also really efficient with double-digit scoring. If we can get that play from him off the bench, that's really going to help. He also made a 3-point shot, but like the broadcast said, that's not something we want to rely on or be doing too much. But when he's just coming in, playing with energy, playing high-level defense, he is a really good defender. That's when the Terps are at their best. So I thought he played really well, but overall, Maryland shot the ball well, 47% from the 3-point line, only 70% from the free throw line. Could have been a little bit better there, but like I said, only 3 turnovers was really the big stat. So I thought we played really well, and we have another game to go. Who will Maryland play next? We'll talk about that next. Who would I rather see? That game's going on. So some of you guys might actually know after, but I want to give kind of my 2 cents of who I would rather play. We'll talk about that next. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out online, shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending into one place, so you just can't stop managing your money and start building your wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances and track spending and even plan long-term goals. So take control of your finance with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. So basically, the situation now is while I'm recording this, Michigan and Purdue are actually playing right now. So I think this is pretty interesting. And Maryland's going to play the winner of that game, and we're already in the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament again. While the double bye is so big, you don't got to play 50 billion games to try and get to the finals or the semifinals of March Madness. Or not of March Madness, excuse me, of the Big Ten tournament. So they're about to play now in a couple of minutes, I think, actually, as I record this. And to me, both teams I think could win. I think Purdue's like 2.5-point favorite. So I think either team could definitely win. I thought Purdue kind of barely squeaked it out against USC. Definitely didn't dominate them. I watched a little bit of that game. I thought that Purdue has a lot of good players, but they also I didn't think they looked great against USC, but I also think USC is a lot better than what people realize. I'd rather see Michigan. I'll go ahead and say that. Maryland played Purdue a while ago. It's been a long time. I think that was our first Big Ten game, actually, if I recall correctly. Pretty positive that was our first Big Ten game, Maryland playing Michigan. And so that was Maryland playing Purdue, and we ended up losing that game. But that was when we were unsure exactly who we are. That was just a different timeline, different type of game, and we only ended up losing that game by 5. We were up by 5 actually at halftime. That was a game where Derek Queen went off. I thought the biggest reason we lost that game was because I didn't think we guarded Braden Smith, who's the Big Ten Player of the Year, right? He went 5 and 9 from the 3-point line, had 24 points. I didn't think we guard him the best way we could have. Whereas this year, I think we have a better game plan against him. We went under way too many screens, and he made us pay them. But we were a different team then. We were trying to figure out who we were going to be. We had a pretty good offensive game against them, obviously led by Derek Queen. Like I said, Gillespie also played well. So I think it's been a while, so I think it's a different game. I'd be curious if we would be a favorite against a Purdue team. I think we would be, but I think it would be basically a pick 'em. But I think Michigan, I just think we match up better with Michigan. I think what Michigan does really well, I think arguably we do better. I think Michigan, they have the 2 best front court duo, maybe in the Big Ten, with Danny Wolf and Golden. Those 2 guys are really talented. Obviously, Wolf, he's like a point forward type of thing. Like, he can do a lot of different things. And Golden's really tough down low as well. But I think Queen and Reese kind of match up with those 2. And I think Purdue offers a lot of scariness in terms of experience, in terms of some of your other things that I think they do pretty well. So here's my thing, and here's my 2 cents about it. I think both teams are good teams. I think both teams are tough to beat. But to me, Michigan, I just think they're a little bit better, or I think Michigan's a little bit better of a matchup for us. I think Purdue's a little bit better. I think Purdue is interesting also because they've played an extra game in the Big Ten tournament. So you could say they could get tired here just because they had a single bye. Again, the double bye was really important for Maryland, but we'll see exactly what happens. I think either one, Maryland will be slight favorites against. Purdue, possibly we could be underdogs, but still, I think Maryland's definitely a little bit at a higher level than that Purdue team, but I'd be interested to see what the line is. I really don't know. So we'll see exactly what happens. They're about to play now. I rather play Michigan. Let me know who you guys rather play. But I'm just excited that we get an opportunity to talk about who we'd rather play because they handled it well against an Illinois team that's been pretty good lately. So I thought that was impressive for the Terps. That's all we have for today. Thank you guys for listening to Locked on Terps. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're here every day talking Maryland football and basketball. So thank you guys for listening to Locked on Terps.